Alrighty. Hello, everyone. Welcome.
Oh,
Welcome. Happy Monday evening, everybody. Hello, Nat. Hi, Byron.
woohoo!
How
Hello.
are we today? How are you, Byron?
Yeah, I'm good.
Good. How was the day?
Love it.
I had a nice, relaxing day off because I just work 4 days a week and help my sister out with making a game. So
Oh, the dream. The dream.
yeah,
Jealous.
it is. It really
Rub it in,
is.
Byron.
Yeah. What game were you helping your sister create today?
She wants to make a platforming game with a little caterpillar. She was just having some trouble getting it to climb up on the side of different surfaces.
Mm.
So we had some space gravity for a little while, but it actually looks pretty good at the end. So quite pleased.
Cool. Cool.
It's so nice helping your sibling on your day off. I don't know if I would do that.
I don't know. It's like I spend so much time working on stuff by myself. I'm like working with someone else. Like, oh, I'm so excited.
Oh, nice. Yeah. That social connection goes a long way. Yeah. Love it.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty cool and worth noting as well. So, Byron, your sister Devaney actually is an alumni as well, but also your whole family is into programming and video games, aren't they?
Yeah. We're all lovers of programming and video games. So
I love it. I love it so much.
How did that start? Maybe we should get right into the questions, but
Yeah.
jumping a bit too quick.
I mean, when it comes to video games, it's like I guess it started when my mum got my older brother like Pokemon Blue. I think it's like, and then she was playing with him as well. Like my mum was playing the game.
Yeah.
So, and then from there on, it's all sort of like we're all playing games, and then
Love it.
I don't know. It's like for me, playing games makes me want to make games. It's
Yeah.
been like that ever since I was a kid, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. You're doing what you love.
I love
Yeah.
Pokemon. The yellow, blue, gold. I loved them all. They were so good.
Yeah.
Little Game Boy.
I was always watching the Pokemon shows. And then when
Oh,
Pokemon Go
yeah.
came out, yeah.
Yeah.
Surely you both played Pokemon Go. Come on, Byron, you're smiling there. You played it.
I mean, yeah, it's cool. I don't play it like at the moment, but it's kind of funny because when I'm out with my mom, she plays. So it's like I'm the adult watching her, and she's like, "Oh,
Yeah.
come on."
I played it for a little bit. Did you play it now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Everybody was playing it. It was just like any excuse to like go like out for a walk. It's like, oh, can't be bothered. We're gonna play Pokemon Go at the park. It's like, let's go. Like
Yeah.
for some reason it was a craze in my gen especially, and I'm just like, yeah, everyone had to jump on board. If you weren't playing Pokemon Go, then you weren't cool. And I wanted to be cool.
Yeah, there were so many people playing it here in Adelaide. It was funny. It was like 11 o'clock at night, 12 o'clock at night. There were so many cars still driving around compared to what they used to be. It was just people going collecting Pokemon. It was really good.
Incredible.
Alrighty, all right. Well,
Yeah.
good little chat and start tonight's live stream. So thank you all so much for those who are joining us tonight. We, as I mentioned earlier, we've got Byron here with us, who I'll save the introduction for a second. We've also got the lovely Natalie Casser with us, so event officer for Melbourne. But with tonight's live stream, anyone, if you have questions for Byron, myself, or Natalie, please feel free to just pop them in the chat and we'll do our best to get them answered throughout the stream. But let's kick it off, I think, with Byron. If you want to just give us a bit of a brief introduction to yourself.
Basically, I was born in Alice Springs. I moved here to Adelaide to study software engineering, and I found that university wasn't a good fit for me. And I was really fortunate that I discovered AIE at that point, because once I transferred there, it was like I could finally start sort of making some of my dreams come true. So that's sort of that part. Because, like, as I mentioned before, I've been playing games since I was a kid. And, like, even back then, I used to, like, design little games, right? I have all these pages of, like, Legend of Zelda levels and that kind of thing. And I guess it's like I've always been a creative person. I always like to create things at the moment I like to do drawing, writing, and of course making video games. So yeah.
That's amazing. I had no idea that you were so creative in terms of drawing and writing as well. Pick one, Byron.
Skilled.
You've got so many skills. Oh my gosh. Love it.
Yeah, awesome. So yeah, you started from a young age. Were your whole family, like, was games a really big part of the culture for your family growing up? And
Yeah. So, I mean, there's a lot of long afternoons where it might not even be me playing, but I might just be watching my brothers playing and, picking up all the tricks of the game and all of that. So
yeah, awesome.
That's awesome.
And so you came to AIE, and we'll touch on AIE a little bit later, but where do you work at now, and what's your kind of role there?
I work at a company called Insight via Artificial Intelligence, which I will shorten to IVAI. And it's a pretty small company. We have about, I think, 6 people. And obviously in the name, there's artificial intelligence. And it's my perhaps brainier colleagues that do the artificial intelligence. But I think what the company's really about is solving problems with, I don't know, I just want to say cool technologies, like, because
you can say that.
Yeah, with cool technologies, right? So I got to join the company because I had experience with doing with VR originally. And that was partially due because I was quite lucky to get so first off, there's like the topic at AIE, which was VR, which was really cool. And then I got an internship at SA Power Networks. So I sort of had some talents working with VR. I did the AI experience was something I actually got to have because I already had VR. So I got to work with like a HoloLens, which is quite cool.
That's awesome. And so you mentioned like the cool technologies, but can you tell us a bit more about these cool projects that you've worked on? A bit more detail.
Yeah, okay. So like the first project that I worked on is something called the Aboriginal Health Project, which is training software. And the idea is that you want to be able to bundle up some training into a VR headset and send it out to a remote community. And what happens in the particular problem they were targeting is the complications of diabetes leading to foot amputation, which basically for the Aboriginal peoples is like a way higher chance that they get toe amputation. So it's a quite serious problem. But the idea of the software is it's just to help train those people in those communities to see the early signs of that so that they can refer them to the doctors and get all the correct treatment. And the whole thing is, and so it's VR, so it's VR, so it's very immersive, and these headsets have actually already gone out to communities in several places in Australia, and all the feedback I hear is very positive. They really like it. It's really immersive. It's helpful.
Well, yeah, you're changing lives for the better. That is actually amazing. I'm actually blown away. Whenever we have guest speakers, I'm always just really, really excited to speak to them. But I have to admit, I didn't know a whole heap about you, Byron. I'm so sorry. But I do now, and I am a massive fan. That is just amazing. Wow. And how does that feel like compared to making games and to making a device that's actually changing lives? Like, what does that feel like?
So it's like, if I make a game, then that's sort of like my own passion project, and that's like a creative part of myself that I need to feed. But there's like a whole different, like, helping, I don't know, it makes me feel warm and fuzzy in like a different way, you know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. That is incredible.
I've just tracked down this video. Byron, is this I take it a little bit of an insight to what the project was?
Yeah, so this is a pan around of the waiting room where you first start the simulation. and you can see the 5 different patients, which we have here. And yeah, so this is actually a bit more like what it is in the game. And you can point at one of the characters, and then you select them, and you go into this examination room, which is like a little pediatric clinic based on a real remote clinic. And then you go through the various steps of the foot examination to figure out how likely they are to have some side effects. So as you can see, we actually have Joe here, who's an Aboriginal Health clinician who's actually doing the trailer for us. Oh, and he's actually treating himself.
Whoa!
Yeah,
So it's very, very gamified. Like you get the feel of a game with this, but obviously there's a lot of education behind it.
Yeah.
yeah. So it's like the part of you have to make it so that you get the information in a way that's easy to digest, which is it's still like the same sort of challenges that you are dealing with in a video game. It's just that in this case, you know, the information is a bit more important than, you know, how to be good at the game, maybe. But
Well, we always talk about, you know, the skills you learn from your courses at AIE are so transferable, and like you're actually transferring them into the healthcare systems. That's really, really cool to see. For anyone watching, you know, if you're inspired to do the same, that's awesome. But yeah, good on you, Byron, for making that difference.
Amazing.
Can you tell us a bit about your projects and I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing it, Illic? Is that right?
oh yes, that's my
Yay!
my personal passion project, Illic. Yes.
Love it.
So basically, when I was at AIE, I was thinking about, well, if I'm going to learn to make a game, I want to make the game that's going to really excite me. That's what I want to do. And basically, my 2 favorite series are like Dark Souls and Fire Emblem. And immediately I'm like, I'm not going to make a Dark Souls like. You know, that's just going to be too much. And I'm like, but a turn-based strategy game, that seems a bit easier. So pretty much from when I got to AIE, I was like always thinking to myself, how can I make this assignment give me a little bit of something to working towards this game that I want to make?
Right.
So yeah, because I remember it's like this little pathfinding thing, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to need the sort of tile-based pathfinding in Lords of Illic. And I mean, that's one thing that made me really motivated when I was studying there. I'm always just like, how can I relate this to this thing I want to make?
Yeah. Well, I was going to ask what inspired, but you've already answered that question from your favorite series. Yeah.
I've got the trailer here I can bring up for everyone as we can watch it. Yep, we can have a bit of a look, and you can talk to it as we watch along.
Lords of Illic.
Cool. So did you are you a solo dev on this, and you've completely done everything? Like,
yes, yeah, that's one of my other goals was I wanted to do everything myself as much as possible, right? So all the character sprites and the models and all that I made. I mean, I can't make the particle effects; those are off the asset store. But yeah, otherwise, I did everything I can.
Yeah, awesome.
I'm not even really using any like code packages or anything for running the game.
Yeah, and so this is the website here. Should I give it a little bit of a play to have a look?
Do it, Matt.
All right, so we'll go to we'll go exit. I'll start a new one. I will admit I would need
no. I shouldn't have the exit button there. I shouldn't have the exit button there. I think you have to refresh.
There we go. We'll load it up and give it a bit of a play. So, how long have you been working on Lords of Illic?
So, I mean, I think it was 2019 when I started. So, that's going to be around 5 years, or whenever it was that I actually started. Depends when you consider starting working. When I was planning it, about 4 or 5 years.
Wow.
Alrighty, here we go. So, the Queen. The Queen, that's me, I'd imagine. That's my character.
Yeah.
And a damaged illusion is the enemy. So, all right. So he's
So
got
click
5.
on.
Yep, myself.
So we click on the Queen, and then we click on the other guy,
Yep, there we go.
and you can see that you got this combat forecast, and there's not that. There's like a lot of room for the different. Basically, the idea of the combat forecast is I wanted to provide all the information that you could want about the different mechanics. So if you have weapon advantage, and I mean, what you're pointing out over here is that if some attacks don't do the same amount of damage, so you can like see what happens if I roll the smallest amount of damage, what makes the average, and then the max.
Okay. You got accessories,
and then obviously you can see all the characters, their statistics, their various other things like their movement type, and then.
Oh, there we go. All right. We've officially won the battle. So we've earned some crystals, got some money. Amazing.
Yeah.
And I believe you took this to PAX last year, didn't you?
It was like just Avcon in Adelaide. Was what
just
it was.
Avcon. Oh, sorry. Yes.
Yeah.
In Avcon. And how did you go there, showcasing it?
I think I went quite well. So it was. I mean, one of the great things about Avcon was that it was just really easy to get something that you made there. They you have to end the character's turn, which is there's like a little cross on here when you. Oh yeah, you got it. But yeah, it was really good. Basically, I made up these little standees to sort of decorate it with the characters of the game, and people came over and they quite enjoyed playing it. I mean, there was a couple of people who didn't even want to leave; they just wanted to finish the whole game.
Yeah,
I remember, which was gratifying because I get a habit of just like getting stuck in something so much that I sort of forget about everyone else. So
yeah,
being able to bring it to a convention and to have other people try it just felt really good.
Oh, for sure.
What are the challenges like from this game to your professional career? Do you find that you hit more roadblocks with the game, or do you find that work is a lot more draining in terms of brain power required?
It's interesting because like some of the problems I have with Lords of Illic is that I've been working on it for like almost 5 years. So it's had to change from the way I used to program when I was in AIE and just graduated to how I've learned to program now. And just because some of the stuff I've been working at work is stuff I started more recently, there's so much less, like, I guess, weird holdovers and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So sometimes, Illic can be more frustrating just because it's got a long legacy that I have to fix.
Yeah.
But you mentioned before as well that you wanted to create the game just by yourself. But what spurred on that goal?
I guess I really wanted it to be my game, just to show that I could do it, I mean, it just made it, I guess to me, it's just like, it made me feel like I was a real game dev, I guess. But I'm not to say that you're real game dev if you use like Easy Save or something off the asset store. That's just something that I find enjoyable, use what you need to use, people. It's there's no such thing as a real game dev, but
No, it's really cool. You set that goal for yourself and you achieve that, and then now comes another one. It's always good to keep growing in the game dev world. And what made you decide to study with AIE? Like you mentioned before, you felt really relieved when you discovered AIE as opposed to like a classic university, a traditional one. But what was the factor that when you saw AIE, you thought, yeah, I'm going to come here?
Well, it's interesting because at the time when I got in my first year, I felt like I got into a dead end at university, and I was depressed. My sister was coming up here to do like a careers fair, and my mom went to the AIE booth, and she's like, you should think about this. And I just looked at it and I was like, wow, I really I really want to do that. Like, so it felt like an incredible amount of fortune for somebody who was just sort of moping around in their room to be like, I can learn game development? My dream can come
Yes.
true? This is possible?
I can study this? What? That's amazing. And the support from your family as well. I think the general idea of gaming has changed so much over the last few years, like even decade. Thinking about it just as a hobby, and to now, you know, studying and then even career progression. So it's great to see that you're living your dream, Byron. Very, very excited to see that. Um, what was your overall experience like at AIE? Like if you had to like sum it up.
Fabulous, brilliant. I loved it. Loved every second of it, to be honest. I mean, I don't mean to be a kiss up, but it's just like, for me, it was really good. Like, it's like rays of sunshine through clouds. Like, I mean, just for me, I just don't like the way universities teach. I don't like the guy up at the top and he's got the notes on the board and he goes through all of that. And then he's kind of like, there's some office hours, you can come speak to me type thing that they do there. Because I mean, like at AIE, right, if Dr. Mike, who was my tutor in like second year, you know, he just would come up to you and ask you how you were going. If you had a problem, he'd come over. You know, it just like felt like the people at AIE actually cared about you. You know what I mean? Like they wanted you to learn. They were happy. You know, really excited when you got something. And yeah, that just meant so much to me.
Oh,
It really did.
that is awesome.
Shout out.
Yeah.
If we
Shout out.
Shout out to Dr. Mike. He was a trainer here at AIE and Adelaide, and he's jumped back into industry for a bit. He's now heading up the programming side of Tantalus, big keyword studio here in Adelaide. But shout out, he's such a genuine and nice person, and you're right, he cared. You're absolutely right, Byron. He cared so much about the students. So, Dr. Mike, if you're out there, we love you. So keep being awesome.
Dr. Mike.
Yeah, and the AIE, the learning style that you had, we're very hands-on, we're very practical. When you went through that and you went through your projects, what were kind of some of the highs and what were some of the kind of bigger challenges for you studying in that sort of environment and with teams or even just assignments by yourself? What were some of the, as I said, yeah, kind of really best moments and some of the biggest challenges you had?
So my favorite part of the course was the second year major project. I worked on a game called Poppy and Paintland, which is a 3D platformer where you paint things. And I took it upon myself to design the painting aspect of the game. So you could just apply paint to like arbitrary objects. And that was challenging to work on. But at the same time, like when you actually started to be able to paint different objects, and the other great thing is if you have a look at the picture over there, you can see how parts of the world were like grayscaled as well, and that was like a different effect. And if you painted certain objects, you could get rid of that. And like there was a lot of graphic stuff in that was challenging, but that was also just very rewarding. I mean, I really loved working on that game. It was great. My teammates were great, and it felt like we're all sort of working together to make something awesome, basically.
Yeah, when you can look back and you think, I had not only an amazing time, I actually love what I created. Like those are the two things you want to do, right? So like even when you looking through these slides, like I want to play this game. It looks so much fun.
So Byron, I'm not sure whether Alyssa told you when you came to Adelaide for Open Day a few years ago. But we actually take this game to some events and get some members of the public to play it because it's actually really fun. And it's a really, really awesome game, so credit to you, absolutely. And it's good for all ages, which some of the games that people go through and develop, obviously if you're at an event having just a shooter, maybe not so great for the younger side, but Poppy and Paintland was like a really awesome game that you could play it for all ages. So well done on creating that game. It was a great portfolio piece for you.
Yeah.
I'm downloading it tonight.
And what were some of the bigger challenges that you faced, either during major production or your time at AIE, and did you overcome them?
So one thing that I did find a bit challenging was that due to things happening in one of the designers' life, who was like, well, he's my friend Brandon, who like we both basically we before the major production we both were planning out what would be the coolest game to make for it, and he had some personal problems and he got really stressed out, so I sort of had to take on a leadership role in the project, and that was it was a lot of pressure, and I think that that would have been my biggest challenge. But I mean, for me, even though it was stressful and there was a lot of work, as I have to, do all the programming. Well, actually, not all the programming. There was another designer on the team that helped me a bit out. With he did the whole character controller. He did the whole character controller. It's a good character controller. That was a lot of work. Can't take all the credit, but yeah. I mean, I guess the way that I overcome it was just like you have to communicate with people, and you just take a moment to think about where they're coming from. You know what I mean? Like, you can't get too focused on just what you need. You also have to figure out what they need and, just how you can fit in what they need with what we need and what the project needs. And I think it all turned out well. So
Yeah. Awesome. Well, it definitely did.
Yeah, amazing.
You got that right.
And considering that you were so successful with the major project, going through AIE, how did you find once you'd graduated? Was it a bit nerve-wracking being like, all right, now I've got to look for a job? And what was your ethos and what was your kind of plan about how to look for employment after you graduated?
honestly, after I graduated, it was quite tough because COVID happened. Like, pretty much as soon as I got onto the job market, I ended up unwell, not because of COVID, but it was just a bit difficult for a while, because when you're sick and you start to get better, you're still out of it. I mean, with this particular job, Dr. Mike basically sent me jobs every so often that I might be interested in, because he's just an amazing guy, like really amazing. And it just so happened that the stars aligned with the Insight Biointelligence job, and from there out, I mean, it was actually only originally supposed to be like a 6 months gig, right? Just doing it was like casual. But basically what I showed was that I was willing to learn, improve myself. I mean, one of the things is I've been reading lots of programming books to try to get more expertise and be more like a software engineer. So just being willing to learn and improve is really positive.
Awesome. And what would you say a day, like an average day at your work is like?
So I like to think back to like one of the first days that I got in there, where it was kind of like we set up some things, and it's just like I think Sigmund, my boss, just kind of had to go to a meeting or something, and he's just like, if you need help, talk to me. And I was kind of just into it, right? And a lot of my days now, it's just kind of like I come into the office, no one else is there, I turn my computer on, and I have like a board of things that I need to do, and I just go from whatever I think is the most important thing. I know that that's more just because we're such a small company, but like a lot of it's just about being able to think for yourself, what do I need to do? And also, obviously, if you come to a point where you are stuck, being able to talk that out as well.
And talking a little bit more like technically with your software development, with your work, what are you coding in? What languages do you use? How much of your time is spent directly writing like lines of code compared to possibly like meetings, talking with team? Like, what does that exactly kind of more not necessarily like an hour by hour breakdown, but what does that role look like in a bit more depth as well?
So when I'm working on anything which is like VR or AR or anything, that's all done in Unity, because Unity has the great cross-platform capabilities, right? So Unity, C#. I've worked on other things which are, for instance, just like web development, which is TypeScript with React and TypeScript based things. Because one of the other things is when you're working at a small company, they have the projects they have and you have to work on them. But in my case, I would say that most of the time I don't want to say writing code. It's more about, the important thing I think is always about code is to solve problems. So there's a decent amount of time where you just have to think through what you need to do and make sure that when you are typing your lines of code out, you're typing out the right solution to the right problem. So
Right.
as for meetings, like recently I've been having like a Wednesday meeting where we go through with like a client to show them how the current project's going, and then we'll have a meeting on Friday where everyone's in the office for an hour or two just to see where everyone's up to and what's going on.
Yeah, awesome. And in your opinion, and you can talk about this in regards to games, or you can talk about it in regard to game adjacent, like the areas that you work in, but what makes a good programmer? Now, I know that's really hard as well because there's so many different types of programmers. You talked about your team as well being very smart with AI programming, which is really, really, really big topic at the moment, and how that affects industries and tech and the way we live. But in your eyes, for maybe your role specifically, what makes a good programmer, some of the skills and qualities to possess?
So being a good programmer is about writing, it's about solving problems, as I mentioned before, right? And if I want to think about, I guess the other thing I mentioned as well is obviously being able to learn as well. But the way I sort of see it is good code is code that is neat, readable, and sort of easy to change. Because if there's one thing we know in this world, things change all the time. So it's sort of like you and your code need to be flexible so you can handle the change. If you're a brittle person or you write brittle code, something's going to change and it's going to break and it's just not going to be pleasant. So, well, I guess.
What would you describe? Sorry. What would you describe as like brittle code?
So a lot of the time where it's either you haven't thought through the problem you're trying to solve, and when that quite through, what that tends to happen is that you'll try to solve the problem in a bit of a roundabout way, right? Because in the end, it's like you want to have the least amount of actual lines of code to do what you're trying to do. Because it's like the more like complexity, I guess, is the answer, actually, like really complex code. You're always looking for the sort of simplest solution.
Right. Yeah. Cool. I remember you mentioned before as well. That's my quote now. You mentioned before, but I'm going to keep saying it. So you mentioned before that something that you really noticed was self-motivation. When you go into your day-to-day, sometimes there's no other people there, but you just have to self-motivate yourself and think, okay, well, I've got these tasks to do. I've got to get through them. And so what am I going to plan out for the day? So I think that's really important. And that's probably what helps make a really good programmer as well. And you didn't give yourself enough credit either, because you also said before that, the stars aligned and Dr. Mike reached out and I was able to get this job for 6 months, but then it turned into longer. But it's like, I think it definitely does pay homage to you and your work ethic and the skills you have acquired at AIE and then put into practice. So very, very, very well done. I think definitely you can see all the things you've learned are actually being put to work. So Well done, Byron.
Mm.
Just a little pat on the back for you there.
I've got a question for you, Byron. We've gone for about 35 minutes, so we've gone touch over, but that's okay because I've been really interested to poke at your life and your world and your journey. So I think we've got time for 2 more questions. I'll go for one, Nat, if you want to think of one as well that you want to ask Byron, a final question. But for mine is, what do you see, or where do you see yourself going now? Because you've worked at IVAI, bit of a tongue twister, for a bit now. You've got like experience, which is fantastic. Do you really enjoy working in that kind of game adjacent field, or one day would you love to go full time into the games industry, or do you just want to keep that as a hobby? Like, what's kind of your idea, your perfect world?
I mean, it's something I have thought about quite a bit, and because I mean, part of it is you should know what you want. And it's like, on one hand, I'm like, I just want to keep working at IVAI. I enjoy the projects they do. It's just incredibly rewarding to actually make software that helps people. But on the other hand, there's also this other part of me, which is like the creative part that's just like, I just want to spend more time making my game, right? Like so it's like, oh, I figure I'll keep working here, doing as much as I can, and if you know what, even if I'm working on a website, there's still lessons I can learn for my game development. That's really true. Like, just looking at a different thing in a different way is like, you just be like, well, actually, that idea that's in React is a great idea. It's not, you can't use it quite in the way it is because it's a website, but, reducing side effects and the sort of the way they don't change things is still applicable in games. So I figure I just want to improve as much as I can, and either I'll be able to keep on this current path in game adjacent, helping people, and that'll make me happy, or maybe there'll be an opportunity where I can get a different job in the games, or perhaps even make money off my own game, and that'll also be good. So
yeah, sounds like you're really open to whatever pathway comes. Very excited.
Yeah.
Cool. And you've given some awesome advice so far, but for anyone watching, maybe wanting to be a budding programmer, what advice would you leave them with after this live stream?
Well, I guess it's just like, you will learn best the skills you want. So I guess my suggestion is figure out a game that you can make and that you want to make, and sort of work towards programming it. There is literally, like, whatever if you practice making the things that you want, that's what you'll get better at, So
yeah, you're doing what you love.
So passion, essentially, really have a passion for it and follow the passion. Yeah.
Passion projects like you.
Yeah. They definitely and I've noticed that here as well, Byron. So I've been with AIE for about 4 years now, and the students that I see come through and just have such a burning desire to create and they just love games, or film as well. Actually, especially film. Actually, I see some extremely passionate filmmakers here at AIE and visual effects artists, and now I've kind of seen enough where students have gone through, they've finished, they've graduated, now they're working in industry, and it's not 100%, but nearly 100% of the other ones that passion relates to the ones that get jobs sooner, if that makes sense. So yeah. So definitely, for anyone out there, I'm a big believer as well in terms of don't do something because someone kind of told you, like, especially as a career, like, it's your life, your career. So if you have a passion for something, pursue it. So good piece of advice.
Couldn't agree more. And from you as well, Matt.
There's a fair few things I've learned here at AIE, which has been awesome, and I love going through. And now this is my favorite part, where I've seen some of the students who are in their diploma and advanced diploma, now working in industry. That's one of my favorites. Yeah. And you've been now
It's
that
actually amazing.
you've just completed your first year, so next year you'll start seeing it as well. So
Well, I've got one of the alumni from last year coming to our open day because they already got a job at Playside. So I'm very excited to see them again. And this
Yep.
is one of the students I was just screaming so much at graduation, but I won't go into that too much. But yeah, I'm already very, very proud to see all these students get so excited about their passion projects and then take that into the big scary world and actually make a name for themselves and get the roles they're after. So it's very, very encouraging to see.
Yeah, love it. Alrighty, so we have pretty much reached the end. What I'll do is I'll bring up the AIE website for anyone who is interested in learning more about programming or game development in general. AIE.edu.au is our website, and there is a huge amount of resources for anyone to learn more on here. If you click the courses tab, AIE has courses from ages 12 and up, all the way from I know absolutely nothing, I've never used a computer, all the way through to I want to be a professional programmer working in VR simulation, AR simulation, XR, game art and animation, game design. You list it, we've got it here if it's games and film. So if you have any questions about courses as well, you can always hit the Ask a Question tab down here. The next event we've got on as well, so AIE, each month we run a lovely little event for prospective and interested students to come along to, and we have our big open day coming up in May. So for anyone who would love to check out the campus, come meet some of the trainers. As we've kind of alluded to, and as Byron mentioned, we've got some incredible teachers and trainers here at AIE. Dr. Mike was one of them here in Adelaide, but I know we've got an amazing crew all around Australia. And absolutely, they love speaking to people who are passionate about becoming filmmakers and about becoming game devs. So definitely come and connect with them, meet with them, and get advice from them as well. And then there's a huge amount of other resources and other information on our website as well, but feel free to get in touch with your local campus and come and speak to us. The game development industry and filmmaking industries, they're pretty, I'd say laid back, professional but laid back, and very willing to help. So they're a really nice crew. So thank you so much for joining us tonight, Byron. It's been wonderful to kind of have a little bit of a look at your games, Lords of Illic, and hear about you working at IVAI. And I guess my closing question, I've got one more closing question. What's next for Lords of Illic?
Well, at the moment I'm like, do I want to start a new project? Or do I want to, I don't know, make a level editor or something for it? It's like, no matter how much I do, I'm just like, but I could go that extra mile on it. So we'll just have to see how I feel like.
Yeah, awesome.
Whether or not,
it's amazing.
Oh, you go, Nat.
It's amazing to have that drive, like you think, oh, should I do this or should I do this or should I do that? Like, you sound so excited still. So I think, always keep that excitement and see where it takes you. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
Just remember, there's a lot of things to be excited about in this world. Like, you could make a video game. It's a very exciting time to live.
I love it. This is timestamp worthy.
Oh, this is passion. I love it. Well, thank you so much tonight, Byron. Any last words from Nat, yourself, or Byron before we finish up for the evening?
Each time I get inspired, and now I'm thinking, do I want to be a programmer because of you, Byron? So how dare you? I think.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much, everyone who joined tonight. We wish you the best. And as I said, head to the AIE website, get in touch with your local campus, and we look forward to possibly seeing you at Open Day. Have a good night, everyone.
Thanks, guys. Bye.